The sun is just rising and head baker Reese Jones has been at work for several hours already.
I think I went to bed at about 10 o'clock last night, woke up at 1:30 this morning. So the guys get here at 2 in the morning. We have 3 separate departments. We've got the mixer, the bread oven and the pastry oven. Pastry oven I just finished this morning, and the bread guy is almost finished. We can go watch him make some baguettes. And the mixer is actually preparing the doughs for the next day. Not sure where he is at this point, but he should be almost finished as well. So we start at 2 a.m. Hopefully we can get out early. That's kind of the plan here.
The smell of fresh bread wafts through the bakery, but Reese says he can't smell it anymore. He's been working with Daily Bread since it opened in 2017 and is one of the only original staff left. Reese showed us what a typical early morning looks like.
And then here's our mixing team, who have their own radio. This is Ewan and Chris. They're almost done for the day, so they're starting to clean up. And yeah, last job will be shaping the bread for tomorrow, which we'll come back at 2 a.m. to do. This is our mixing machine, so 320 kilos of dough at a time, maximum. Automatically lifts. So this bread's not quite ready, it's in what's called an auto lease. So we just mixed it partially. And then he will put in the salt and yeast to this dough, just allowing the flour to absorb all the water possible so that we get a good dough and it's nice and strong when it comes to shaping it. So nothing's like pre-mixes, everything's done here from scratch, but we use the sourdough process, which is, it takes about 48 hours to make one of our loaves. Sourdough starters it's kind of like a pet that you feed every single day, and that acts as wild yeast for our bread to rise. Our sourdough starter here is about 600 years old. It's probably the oldest in New Zealand. It's my boss's family over in Germany. He brought it over here, and yeah, we've been making some amazing bread out of it ever since.
Daily Bread in Point Chevalier used to be a bank, and they decided to keep some of the original features.
What we did with the safe fridge is we turned it into our walk-in retarder. Retarding is the process of slowly fermenting bread overnight. So we kept the old safe door, which is a real hassle because it's super heavy. But yeah, it's empty now, but in a couple hours, every shelf in this room will be loaded with about 12 loaves of bread per tray. All 1 kilo loaves as well, so it's a lot of work getting this in and out.
Next, we move on to the ovens.
So Michael over here, he's been on the oven today. It's a big job. He's just baking some baguettes at the moment. So those will go in 240 degrees. Steam them for a few minutes, and they'll come out in about 18 to 20 minutes depending on where they're placed in the oven. And it's also a stone oven, so stone is the best thing you want to bake bread on. It just gives it a nice lift.
Reese finished all the pastry baking earlier this morning before we arrived, but he has one Kiwi favourite to throw into the oven.
We have our vegetarian chili bean pie. Our mince and cheese equivalent is the Bolognese cheese. Bolognese mozzarella, and then we have a roasted lamb mint pie. So we'll bake those for about 20-25 minutes. Maybe longer, just depending on how many there are in the oven. Kind of moves the heat a bit. And then we'll chuck in our pie warmer for our customers, hopefully by 7 a.m.
Reese says Daily Bread in Point Chev sells out most days, and anything that doesn't sell gets sent to charities to feed other people. The store opens at 7 a.m, the smell of fresh bread and pastries luring customers in from the street. I asked Reese what it's like to wake up so early every morning.
Well, now I don't have to get it up at 2 a.m. as often as I used to. Most of my guys still do. On the weekend, we'll actually start at midnight. It's a bit rough, and you never get used to it, but as long as you have an alarm, there's no worries, and you learn to operate on a bit less sleep. And the good thing about starting early is you have the rest of the afternoon to do whatever you want.
For First Up, Ella Stewart.